All right, what's going on, guys? I am Jim Larson, Senior Vice President here at Symmetry Financial Group. I am direct to Symmetry by way of Jamie, Susie, and Corey Nienaber, Sarah and Jared Reinecke, Jacob Pogue, and the Marshall Wayland hierarchy. I'm an equity partner in the company, thanks to Kelly Bush hitting 130. If you guys are live with me right now, wondering why I am introducing myself, because we're halfway through this call, or at least 10 minutes in, it's for the people watching the replay on YouTube. So I hit record and I reintroduce myself for the replay. Tonight, I'm going to have a conversation that I titled What It Takes. And what I'm going to do in this conversation is literally walk you guys through month by month of my business from the time it started to now. And I'm going to give you the metrics, the data. I'm going to let you in my head what I was thinking, what I was learning. I'm going to give you step by step by step. Now, a little backstory. I came to Symmetry in January of 2020. I lasted about 4 months and I quit. And then I watched a few people that were in Symmetry do some really exciting things and grow some fantastic agencies. And I always knew that Symmetry was the smartest thing I'd ever seen in sales. I wasn't ready for it at the time, but I knew it was smart. So I put it kind of in my back pocket. And then when I watched them go do crazy, exciting things, I'm like, all right, I might need to dust that thing off my back pocket and go back. So that's what I did. Amber's like, it was FOMO. It was partially FOMO, Amber. It was partially, I was making pretty good money from another company. And so I didn't really need Symmetry. And then when that company started to go downhill and I realized, oh, I'm not going to last here much longer, I need something else. So I came here in January of 22 is when I came back. Came here in January of 2022. It feels like yesterday. With about 6 months of money in my savings account, a family of 5 to feed, a stay-at-home wife, and absolutely no backup plan. I came here and I had to make this work. I didn't have the luxury of seeing if this was going to work. I didn't have that luxury. Some of y'all have that luxury. I'm a little jealous of that luxury. I had to make this work. Put a 2 in the comments if you're in that position where you have to make this work. All right. I see you. I see you. I'm not jealous of you. I know what I went through and it wasn't fun and I wouldn't wish it on anybody because the level of stress was out of control. But I rose to the occasion and that's what I want to walk you guys through. January of 2022, I was an 80% contract rate. I wrote 12 applications for $9K. Made a whopping $2,700. You're like, wait, you wrote $9K and only made $2,700? Yeah, some stuff didn't issue. At least not in January, it didn't issue, and you only get paid when it issues. What is issued business? The insurance company agrees to cover them, and the client pays. Sometimes you submit something, and the insurance company doesn't agree to cover them. They turn up some health issues. Sometimes you submit something, the insurance company agrees, but the client changes their mind. I was brand new. I was learning. It looked good on paper. It looked great on leaderboards. Didn't pay me much. Okay, month 1 down. Pulling out of savings to make ends meet. What did January 22 look like? The snowstorm. Snowstorm. I live in Virginia, guys. We go entire winters, we barely get snow. I told Jamie, I told her in December that I was coming back. I'm coming back to Symmetry. I told her in December. January hits, we had some New Year's stuff. So January 4, I am all in. I'm like getting my leads, getting ready. On the 4th, we got pounded with a once-in-a-decade snowstorm. Shut down everything. No power, no phones, no internet, nada, nothing. Took us 5 days to get that stuff back, so I didn't actually start until January 9th. It was like just crushed all of my momentum. In that ramp-up period, I was calling every single person I knew. I was reaching out to every single person I knew on social media. Remember, I had been here. I had called leads. I knew what the learning curve on leads was like. I knew what I was walking into. And so I messaged every single person on social media. I called everybody I knew just for the purpose of introducing myself as a life insurance broker. I know that they all knew me. Everyone that knew me under a different context. They didn't know me in life insurance. That was up to me to raise their awareness. So in that ramp up, I was posting to social, calling people. I was letting them know I'm doing this. I'm messaging people. By the time I got my contracts, I had 20 appointments on the books before I ever even started. How did I do 12 apps in my first month? I had those appointments already lined up with my warm network. I didn't even have to call leads to get those appointments. That was all friends, family, just from like reaching out and letting them know I was doing this. What else did it look like? It looked like a lot of doubt. Looked like a lot of doubt. I'd already failed this once. My track record was not good. I had to not just like, it wasn't like I'm just starting from scratch. I'm starting from negative. I'm starting in the hole. I already failed once. I had to like convince myself of all the reasons why that wasn't going to happen again. Then I got my leads, my first batch of leads. I printed 10 of them. Like, I just got to get through these calls. The phone for me weighed 1,000,000 pounds. I wanted to do it right. I had my big whiteboard and I wrote the script. I hand wrote the script on the whiteboard. So I had it in front of me and I was ready to go. And I'm standing. I've got my just personal cell phone. I've got my leads. I printed them on paper and I'm just dialing the number and I'm calling them. And I called all 10 of them. 6 answered. They all told me they were all set and they didn't want this. And when I got to the last one, I was expecting a guy to answer because it was a guy's name on the lead card and a woman's voice answered. I had no idea what to do. My script was completely gone out the window. I was so nervous. I was sweating. I freaked out. I hung up on her. I felt like I'm going to fail at this again. I drank 3 beers. I cried. I took a nap, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning. That was my first day dialing leads. So if you're like, oh, yeah, I don't like dialing leads. Yeah, I get it. I was 100% there with you. I sweated every second of this. But you want to know what else happened? I woke up from that nap, and I realized if I don't figure this out, my family doesn't eat. If I don't figure this out, we don't have a house. I don't have the luxury of figuring out if this is going to work. It has to work. So what did I have to do? I had to get back up there. I had to get my leads and I had to go dial them again. Printed off more leads. Went right back to the phones. See, that's the difference between me and a lot of other people. The difference isn't that the phone was easy for me and it's hard for you. The difference was that I felt the hard, acknowledged the hard, and I went back to the phone anyway. See, I had to. Maybe the fact that you don't have to is the reason you're not. But I had to. What did it take? It took letting a fear of failure drive me. See, fear of failure didn't keep me from it. Fear of failure drove me because, again, the stakes were too high if I failed. It took a relentless grit. Relentless grit. It took grinding through something I sucked at. It took grinding through something where I felt incompetent, where I felt out of my league, where I felt like I wasn't a life insurance agent. I was acting like a life insurance agent. What if they ask me questions I don't know? I'm going to look dumb. I don't like looking dumb. I like looking competent. I like feeling confident. I was neither of those things. But I had to show up anyway, and that was hard. It took a ferocious curiosity. I had to ask questions constantly. How do I get them to show up to the appointment I'm setting? How do I get them to answer the phone? Who else is winning that I can talk to? Where do I go for answers? I wrote a ton of SBLI. Their app is the easiest one, and it was instant issue. What did it take? It took a lot of writing SBLI. February, it was me and one agent. You might know her name, Kelly Bush. I hit Slingshot to 85% that month. Personally, I wrote 10 apps for 12K. I had a 5% override on Kelly's production because I was at 85, she was still at 80. That's how you earn money on your team. It's just the override between your contract level and their contract level. I had a 5% override on what she did. I made $6,100 that month. We didn't really make ends meet. Had to pull out of savings a little more. Still scared. March, me and Kelly, I hit Slingshot to 90%. She went to 85, so I didn't increase my spread over her. Still had a 5% on her. Personally, wrote 6 apps for 9K. As a team, we did 18 apps for 19K. You can see how much Kelly did. I made $6,400 again. April, 8 agents. Only 2 were direct to me. Kelly and 1 other. That's 6 of them on Kelly's team. She's blowing up. I hit Slingshot to 95%. Personally, I wrote 17 apps for 14K. This is my 4th month. As a team, we did 52 apps for 46K. I made $3,900. You're looking at those numbers, you're like, wait a minute, you should be making a lot more money than that. I felt that way too. I'm working my ass off and I'm getting broker. I'm building a team and I'm losing money. What gives? All that spring, it looked like I had an agent on my team that was growing, but not me. It felt like a lot of production for a little money, and I was confirming that I was not good at leads. I had not even yet by this point broken even on my lead spend. I'd buy leads. I'd suck at them. I'd buy them every week because I knew I had to get good at them. I was selling to friends and family, but I knew that well was going to run dry. I had to get good at leads, but I wasn't. So I was spending money on leads. I wasn't making money on leads. I was profitable overall because I was selling to friends and family. I had this little 5% spread on Kelly's team. Only on what issues, not on what was submitted. I'm realizing I'm not good at leads. I was like not even quite broken even. I was selling the leads, but not selling to them more than I was buying them. What did it take in that early spring? Association. I had to surround myself with people who are winning. I had to surround myself with my mentor. I had to surround myself by these calls. I had to keep building my belief that I could win here, that it was there for me because this was hard and it was a grind and I was losing money. And I had to keep that vision. I had to keep that vision. I had to surround myself by people who are winning. I had to check in with my mentor constantly. Jamie, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. How can I get better? What can I learn? What should I be doing? Relentless dialing. It was relentless. It was get through those leads, dial them, and go back from the beginning and dial them again. It was avoiding vomit. Literally, the amount of stress. I could have cried at any moment. I could have thrown up at any moment. When I say, I don't know how to say this in words people understand. When I say I had to make this work or we didn't have a house, I need you to understand that my back was that far against the wall. So when I see all of these twos, yeah, my back's against the wall. I'm sorry. That sucks. But I believe you're going to rise to the occasion, and I did. But everything about that season was the hardest thing I ever did. I talked to everyone I knew, everyone, to introduce myself as a life insurance broker because I knew they knew me under a different context. And if they happened to be in the market for life insurance, I believed they would want it from me. May 2022, 12 agents on the team, 4 of them now direct to me. It was month 1 of 100%. I wrote 19 apps for 27K on my own pen, 79 apps for 76K as a team. Some of that stuff started issuing. I made over $14,000. Freaking rich. Game time, baby. All this work paying off. June, next month, 19 agents, 5 direct to me. I promoted to 100%. It took 2 months in a row. I wrote 15 apps for 19K on my own pen. As a team, we did 85 for 77K. I made over 14 grand again. I'm 6 months in this thing. Baller status. Don't last though. So what did it look like? It looked like I was getting into production flow. I was starting to figure out leads. My network, my friends and family, they were learning that I was an agent. I was talking about it a lot. I was getting profitable on leads, not just breaking even, not earning a living on leads yet, but I was getting profitable. I was starting to pay off some debt. Started to feel like, all right, we're doing this thing. What did it take? It took pivoting off of declines. You guys saw those numbers early on. I was writing a lot of business. I wasn't making money. Policies were getting declined. I had to learn how to pivot off of those declines. I had to learn, like, okay, I didn't help them with that policy, but the problem still exists. So how can I pivot them into something they are going to get approved for? I had to start calling the carriers. I had to start getting good, getting on the phone with insurance companies, running risk assessments, really getting good placing people with the right policy. We launched the workroom, and I made it my goal to be the first one in there every morning. I had to learn sales. I read Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt 3 times, my favorite sales book I've ever read in my whole life. I read Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold. I read Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average. I had to learn sales, period. Not just Symmetry scripts. I had to learn sales in general, the psychology behind sales, how to connect with people. July, my 7th month, 16 agents on the team, 8 direct to me. It's month 1 of 105%. 13 apps for $14K on my own pen, 93 for 81 as a team. I made $7,900. August, 22 agents. I hit agency owner. I promoted to 105%. We had conference in Denver. That was my first conference. It was Symmetry's first conference post-COVID. On my own pen, I wrote 14 apps for $15K in conference month. As a team, we did 101, 8 apps for $91K, and I made $9,200. I'm not even paying my bills yet, guys. I got the overhead of a family of 5. I'm 8 months in. See, I need you to see this stuff. I need you to see this transparency. People come in and they're like, I want to hit baller status in 3 weeks. I'm like, good. I hope you do. I didn't. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're stronger, smarter, better. I hope you do. But I want to be really, really transparent with this. September, my 9th month, we had 27 agents on the team. I hit agency director because Kelly Bush broke out as an agency owner the month after I did. This was month 1 of 110%. Kelly paced me the whole way. I never had more than a 5% spread on her. If I had a 15% spread on her, she had a big team. Her team was most of my team. If I had a big spread on her, I'd be earning a big spread on all of them. As it stood, I was only earning 5%. I wrote 20 apps for 24K on my own pen. As a team, we did 137 apps for 128. Made $7,900. What did that summer look like? It looked like my warm market was gone. It looked like everybody from my friends and family that I was going to help, I done helped them. Now it's me and leads. That's all we got. It's a good thing that I had been dialing leads that whole time because I watched some people come in here. They write on friends and family. They never work leads. By the time their friends and family pool dries up and they got to start leads from scratch, their business comes to a screeching halt. Well, they now got to start from scratch learning leads. I knew this, so I thought ahead. So even while I was helping friends and family, I was working leads. I was selling them. I was getting good, getting good. My warm market disappeared by that summer. Now it was all me and leads. I saw my team growing, but my income was dipping. I was eating into my savings, unbelievably stressed. I needed to get a job. I even called Jamie. I'm like, I need to get a job. My long-term vision at this point, my long-term vision was on point. I could see what we were building, but I just needed the security of something coming in. She told me, don't do it. I listened to her. I was coachable. Just keep plugging away. What did it take? In that summer, it took adopting a bigger vision. It took getting off of the focus on the task to the focus on the vision. It took zooming out to look at 5 years down the road and not 5 minutes down the road. It took looking at where do I want to be in a year and not just where am I going to be by lunch. I had to step back and look at a bigger vision. I had to read books on leadership. I told you that whole first part of the year was reading on sales. I had to read on leadership. I had to challenge imposter syndrome. My team was growing big, but Kelly Bush was so much of that. I felt like I was riding her coattails. I felt like I was paraded around, but I knew in my heart I wasn't making money and my whole team was her. So why am I paraded around as anything? I don't deserve any of these accolades. I'm riding someone else's coattails, and I'm not making money. I didn't like it. I didn't like the spotlight. I didn't feel like I deserved it. I had major imposter syndrome. Started hounding my mentors. I'm on the phone with Jacob Pogue. I'm on the phone with Jamie and Corey. I'm on the phone with Sarah and Jared. I need to get good at this, guys. How do I get good? How do I get good? Relentlessly curious, ferociously curious. How do I get good? Who can I talk to? How do I get better? October, we had 29 agents. I promoted to 110%. I only wrote 8 apps for 12K as a team. Did 140 apps for 132K, made $19,700. Why did I make so much? Because a lot of the stuff that I had written the month before actually issued in this month. You're going to see that sometimes. You get paid when it issues. So you might write it in a previous month, and then it might pay you in a next month. If it's a fully underwritten policy, medical exam, the whole night, it can take 2 months to issue. You're getting paid when it issues. It's one of the reasons we love our simplified issue process. Most of our stuff is issuing the week it's written. SBLI, I loved it because it issued on the spot, on the phone, and paid the next day. I could write a policy with SBLI on the phone today. I'm getting paid tomorrow. Loved it. Guys, 19 grand. I almost made 20 grand that month. It's my 10th month. Felt good. November, 24 agents was month 1 of 115%. 7 apps for 7K myself, 106 for 92, 9,300. You can see how much of my income was my own production. Because when I was producing, I almost made 20K. Now I fell back. My production 2 months in a row was small. Only made $9,300. We were getting by on that. We had cut every necessary expense we could possibly cut, that I actually was getting by on that money. December, 32 agents on the team. I missed month 2 of 115%. But Kelly didn't miss month 2 of 115%. So what happened? She went to 115. I stayed at 110. I lost my override. Brandy, that's why I had puppies. Not kidding. We bred our mini golden doodle to sell puppies, to make money. That winter. Actually, I should have included that. We 100% did that. I lost my override on Kelly because I missed that promotion. Now it was just me and the people on my team that were not under Kelly. That December, I submitted 6 apps for 8K. As a team, we did 143 for 150. I made $10,500. What did the year end look like? End of year 1. My production slipped November, December. I lost the 5% override that I had on Kelly. But I started getting 25% residuals. If you remember, when you write a policy, you get 75% of your commission advanced up front. The remaining 25% of that commission is paid out in equal parts in months 10, 11, and 12 of that policy. By the time I was 12 months in, every month thereafter was month 10, 11, and 12 for some policy 10, 11, or 12 months ago. All of a sudden, 25% of my income every month was from stuff I did 10, 11, and 12 months ago. Man, that took a huge, all of a sudden, I only needed to do 75% of what I had been doing. That took a huge weight off my shoulders. We started to see a boost from conference. People came to conference, they got excited, they came out, they started doing stuff. What did it take? It took settling in for the long haul. It took writing my principles, writing my non-negotiables. How was I going to operate my business? What were the non-negotiable things that I was going to do to run this business? I have that list written out. I'll post it after this. I'll post it in GroupMe. You can see exactly what my list of non-negotiables were. It took filling my cup. Literally pouring into some hobbies because I was going to burn out. If I would kept going at the rate I was going, I was going to burn out. I got really into pickleball. I've been playing for a couple years. I got really into pickleball. That became my hobby. It became me filling my cup. I was intentional about time with my family. I had to eliminate all distractions so that when I was in business mode, I was in business mode. But not just in business mode from an empty cup. I had filled my cup so I could bring the best of me to business. And in order to do that, I eliminated distractions. January, we had 33 agents. I missed month 1 of 115. I had to start from scratch and I missed it. I got an office. This one here. I signed a 2-year lease on an office that cost me $1,500 a month. And I made the bet that I would make more than $1,500 a month because I was eliminating the distractions of home than the cost of it. I made that bet. I was really nervous about affording that. That month, I wrote 8 apps for $9K as a team. We did 164 for 143, and I made $10,400. 1,500 of that went to the office. February, 33 agents. I hit month 1 of 115. I wrote 6 apps for $6K, 211 apps for 170 as a team. I made $12,500. March, 68 agents. I promoted to 115. Kelly was already there, so I didn't get my override back on her. We were now even. I wrote 10 apps for 19K as a team. We did 315 for 276. I made $18,000 in March of 23. Early 23, what it looked like was that 50% of my income was either residual or passive. Residual, meaning the 25% back end pay from what I had written, and passive being the override from all of my agents that were not on Kelly's team. Half my income. It was way less stress. You can see my production numbers were down. They didn't need to be up. My office felt professional. I liked getting dressed and coming to work in the morning. What did it take? It took courage to invest. Courage to invest in the office. It took gratitude for the prior grit and recognizing, man, we've covered a lot of ground. It took shaking off shame. Shaking off the shame of being so afraid of failure, feeling like an imposter. I had to let so much stuff go if I was going to move forward. In April, 62 agents, month 1 of 120. I only wrote 2 apps for 3K. As a team, we did 269 for 224. I made $18,100. In May, 64 agents. I promoted to 120. Still didn't have an override. I would never have an override on Kelly ever again. Once I lost that override, I never made a dime on her team. I submitted 5 apps for 5K. 240 for 224 as a team. I made $15,000. Spring looked like I was phasing out of the field. It was less, it was fewer and fewer policies I needed to write. I started focusing on leading agents. And it looked like dealing with the biggest crisis at home that we have ever had. Our daughter in that December of 22 started having panic attacks that took her out of school every day. She's such a high achiever. Panic attacks turned to anxiety, turned to depression because she couldn't do what she loved. Depression turned into self-harm, turned into suicidal ideation, turned into cutting. And this was new to us in this spring. So we're dealing with this crisis. We're just starting to figure out what this looked like. What it took leading from the front. And we say that a lot when you look at the base shops and you look at the teams. A lot of times what we mean by leading from the front is you're going to be the biggest producer on your team. I had to reshift and redefine that because I wasn't needed in the field anymore, but I was still going to lead from the front. And that meant having a bigger vision than every single person on my team. I wasn't going to outproduce them, but I was going to have a bigger vision than every one of them. I was going to be the first in the office and the last to leave. I was going to lead with vision. I was going to lead with grit. It took being rigidly scheduled, rigidly, because the stress of home was so much that when I was home, I had to be home. And then when I was here, I had to be here. And being 100% wherever I was and learning how to navigate being emotionally available where I was hard. Yeah, Joy, it's cool to see where different people on this call fall into this timeline. Yeah, some of y'all are like, wait, that's when I started. I didn't know you had all that going on when I started. Yeah, I had all that going on when you started. June of 23, 67 agents. I promoted to 120. I went to Banff with SBLI. I earned a trip as a producer. Friggin' vacation, fully paid for on my own pen. Not a team, nothing. I wrote those policies. I told you I wrote a lot of SBLI. There's every one of our core carriers does a trip. Every single one of them. They take the top producers and the top team commission overrides to all the trips. Here I am showing up. It was my first year on my own pen. I earned this trip. We got to go in June. So I really got to connect with the founders. I got to connect with the top leaders. I got to connect with some really great people. You talk about association, the people who are in the trips, that's great. I wrote 4 apps for $4K that month. As a team, we did 300 for $319. I made $16,400. Going into July, we had 69 agents. I missed 125 month one. I only wrote an app the entire month. As a team, we did 315 for $310. I made $18,700. August, 69 agents. I hit 125 month one, out of the field. At that point, and really from that point forward, if I have a friend or family that needs help with life insurance, I'm happy to help. 315 apps for $310. I made over $21,000. It was my first time ever over 20K. Summer, what did that look like? It looked like I was out of the field. We were taking trips, earning trips. We went on vacations. Business seemed to be running on autopilot. And I was able to focus on a crisis at home. You'll never understand the blessing, and I'm going to get to it more in a minute, but you'll never understand the blessing of building something that gives you the ability to be present where you need to be present. If our daughter had been going through what she was going through in 2022, I would have died from stress. I was already at my limit. I think God knew that. That's why she didn't start going through it till 23. When I had some margin, when I had built and earned some margin. It took learning that the first 10K was harder than the next 10K. Getting to 10K, that was a freaking grind. Getting from 10 to 20, that wasn't as hard. It took having gratitude for the grit. Truly recognizing, man, I am really grateful past you from last year did what you did. I'm really proud of that freaking guy. I learned a lot about what I was capable of. I learned a lot about what I could do. I put my back against the wall and I freaking did it. I started to feel like I did it. I started to feel like I stared down my demons and my insecurities and my past failures. And I stared them out and I freaking won. And there is nothing more exciting than looking in the mirror and being proud of yourself. I started to be able to go through the motions. I was so involved at home. I was coming here to the office and kind of checking boxes that summer. We had 86 agents, hit 125 month two, 409 apps, 408K. I made $27,000 that September. October, 105 agents. We promoted to 125, 457 apps, 491 as a team. I made 31 grand. November, 105 agents, hit month one of 130, 391 apps, 447 as a team, made $33,700. December, 115 agents. I hit month two of 130. Kelly broke out as a 130, fastest in the company to do it. She did it in exactly 24 months. We came in together as babies in January of 22. She broke out as 130% fastest in the company. As a team, we did 573 apps, 692,000 as a team. I made $34,600. End of that year, what did it look like? It looked like the battle of our lives at home while we were having crazy momentum in business. It was the battle of our lives at home. Our daughter was so bad, I would walk by her room and I would hold my breath. And I sometimes didn't even want to look in her room because I didn't know if I was going to see her or just her body. She was going through so much, she did not want to live. It was the hardest thing as a parent to walk through. And I don't know when storms are going to come for you. And I don't know what life is going to throw at you. But to be in a business where you can build something that can pay passively and residually so that when that storm comes, you can be in a position to be where you need to be. So while I'm fighting the biggest battle of my life at home, my business isn't just not missing a beat, it's growing. I couldn't do that anywhere else. Where else can you go? Any other job I was working, I would have had to take off work. I'd have been using up PTO. The level of stress I would have felt. But the grind to get there wasn't fun. It was worth it. Took a ton of gratitude for the business that offered flexibility. Took casting a vision for others. Man, if I did this, you can do this. If I did this, you can do this. It wasn't easy for me either. I didn't like the phones either. I had trouble getting people to show up to appointments too. I had trouble closing deals too. All of it, everything you're dealing, I did it. I did it. I get it. 1,000%. I get it. I get it. Took casting that vision. If I did it, you can do it. January of this year, 96 agents. I hit 130% contract level, became an equity partner. You're an equity partner when you hit the top contract level and you have someone on your team hit the top contract level. Kelly beat me to it. But because we were both there, I was a 130, she was a 130, I became an equity partner. That means I share in the company profits. 362 apps, 425 as a team. I made $42,000. I made over 40 grand in a month. February, 96 agents. We had the Ignite conference. It's the one you guys are coming to in February. We had that conference. As a team, we did 390 apps, 448K. I made $41,500. Doesn't mean I flank Kelly back, Joy, but I do earn 2.5% on her team now. March 2024, 135 agents. Amber broke out as an AO. Put me regional agency director, 559 apps, 639 as a team. Made $39,400. April 2024, 110 agents. Jill and Joe broke out as AOs. I became a managing vice president, 434 apps, 476K as a team. I made $45,000. May, 134 agents, 567 apps, 668,000 as a team. Took my family to Paris to see Taylor Swift. I've never even been to Europe in my whole life, guys. SBLI took me to Banff. That was in Canada. We took our whole family to Paris. My wife and I flew first class home, left the kids back in coach. Got to see Taylor Swift. We're big Swifties in our house. We did everything. We did every tour. We did the Louvre. We did the Eiffel Tower. We did all the fun things. I made $47,700 that month. June, 132 agents, 516 apps, 606K as a team. SBLI took me on another trip. This time they went to Switzerland. I was in Paris the month before. I'm in Switzerland with SBLI in June. My wife and I, since they paid for our flights, we decided to stay and play in Italy. Did 5 nights in Italy. Made $42,100. July, 122 agents, 398 apps, 499K, made $54,700. I almost made $55K in a single flipping month. August, 140 agents, 580 apps, 638K, made 41 grand. September, 118 agents, 398 apps, 439K. We had conference. Anna broke out as AO. Made Jill and Joe agency directors. Made me senior vice president. Haven't even calculated my income. We built a pool. We totally built a pool, Brandy. That was back in July. That was over the summer. We put a pool in. So far, 2024 looks like clicking on all cylinders, not just in business, but in my life. I'm laser focused. I'm leveling up. I look at life different. I think about life different. I talk to people differently. I talk to their potential, not to who they are. I know the weak, broken, scared man that literally existed a year and a half ago. I know him. I know him intimately. And I look at so many of you and I see him, but I don't talk to him. I talk to the guy that he could be. I look at you. I don't talk to your scared, insecure self. I don't talk to your situation. I don't talk to your circumstances. I talk to who you can be, who you're called to be. I talk to you on the other side of staring down your demons and coming out on the other side proud of you. That's who I talk to. It looks like leveling up in every area of my life, thinking completely differently. What it took in 2024, it looked like I had to realize that who I am determines what I do. So often in our culture, we reverse that. We think what we do determines who we are. No, what we do is just an outflow of our identity. If you want to really change, you need to change the way you think of self. You need to think of your identity different. You need to become a different person and let that identity inspire different things. I was scared. I was insecure. I was afraid of failure. I was worried about tomorrow. I had to become a guy that was full of joy and full of gratitude and full of hope, that was thinking about 5 years from now and the blessing. I had to become a different person. I had to think different thoughts. I had to be intentionally focused on becoming the type of person who achieves what I want. I had to become that person. And until I became that person, all I was the person that was getting the life I always had. And I was tired of that life. I wanted a different life. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to level up. And I thought that just doing the things was going to get me there. But no, I had to be a different person. I had to learn to think differently. Year one, on my own pen in year one, I wrote 147 applications for 169,000. As a team, we did 1,006 apps for 935,000. We brought in 53 total agents in that year. As a team, we brought in 53 agents. In year two, I wrote 48 applications for 63,000. As a team, we did 3,953 applications for 4.1 million in team-wide volume. Only 38 of the 53 agents from the last year wrote any policy at all in year two. Most people quit. We recruited in year two 221 new agents. This is year three. This year, I've written a whopping 7 applications for $8,000. That was a bad month for me in 2022. As a team so far this year, we've done 4,426 apps for 5.1 million team-wide. We have 386 total writing agents. What it takes association. If you're doing this alone, you are not going to win. I'm going to promise you that. If you are not in the workroom and you are not on the calls, you are going to quit. I can't be more clear than that. If you want to win, you can't quit. If you're not going to quit, you have to associate. There's no other way around that. You have got to prioritize being on the training calls. You have to prioritize being in the workroom. You have to get to Ignite. You will quit. I had 1,000 reasons to quit. I could have just gone off and gotten a job. There's no job in the world going to pay me 50 grand a month. I want to be making $1 million a month next year. Not a month. I want to be making $1 million by the end of the year. I'll do $500,000 this year. I want to do $1 million next year. What job was I going to go that gave me that potential? What job was I ever going to go to? See, so we think this is hard, and so many people think it's hard, so they want to quit. But quitting doesn't solve the problem, nor does it put you in the position to win like you want to win. You're just going to go back to what you were doing, which is the very thing that you left to come here for. Why are you going to repeat the cycle? Try something new, quit it. Try something new, quit it. How many times are you going to ride that train? How many times are you going to ride that train? At some point, you're going to have to become the type of person that stops that train, that commits to something, and goes on to freaking win. It took ferocious curiosity. Not being critical. I had to be curious, not critical. I never said the leads don't work. I said I don't work. I'm the problem here, not them. Other people are winning on leads. I'm the new variable. The system's proven. I'm the new variable. How can I get better? What can I improve? Constantly curious. If they didn't show up, why didn't they show up? If I didn't close them, what could I have said different? Who's doing better than me? Who can I learn from? Who can I talk to? What calls can I tune into? What lessons can I learn? So curious, never critical, ever, ever, never. I was never once critical. Just curious. Just wanted to learn. It takes having a 5-year view. You're a business owner. We act like owners because we own it. It took having a 5-year view. What am I going to build this thing to in 5 years? And if it isn't going to matter in 5 years, I'm not going to give it more than 5 minutes of my energy. It took having emotional stability. Refusing to draw conclusions from small sample sizes and feeling like the leads didn't work and feeling like no one was answering and feeling like I was bad at this. I had to be emotionally stable. I had to build large data sets and I had to draw conclusions from data, not feelings. I wasn't allowed to feel. I could feel whatever I wanted to feel. You're allowed to feel your feelings, but you can't make decisions based on your feelings. You got to make decisions based on data. You're a business owner. Took being emotionally stable. It's so easy in those stressful situations when everything matters and you're trying to just feed your family. You can be high, you can be low, you can be high, you can be low, and you're just never gaining momentum because you're constantly flip-flopping. And if you're low, you're not bringing the best of you to your clients. You're not bringing the best of you to your phone. You're not bringing the best of you to appointments. You got to be stable to bring the best of you. It's hard. It takes extreme ownership. The results of my business are mine. They are nobody else's. For better or for worse, I own this. How can I get better? What does that look like? It is on me. My promotion is based on sales volume. That is my responsibility. Moving forward is my responsibility. What can I learn? Where can I go? I took ownership of every bit of this business. I never blamed anybody else. I never even asked anybody for anything. I was on my AO run. I don't even know if my team knew it. I was in my 130 run. I never asked anyone to sell anything for me. I will never ask you to sell for me. I will never ask you to go to work for me. My goals are not your goals. You work for your goals. You work for your family. I take ownership of my business. I'm responsible for me. Took a refusal to quit. Most people quit. I had 1,000 reasons to quit. Wanted to quit. You're going to want to quit. Some of y'all are going to want to quit 5 times every day. You got to refuse to. You got to refuse to so much. You get that 5-year view and you refuse to so big that you no longer entertain that as an option or an idea. Because as long as that's on the table as an option for you, you're going to constantly entertain it. Well, is this it? Maybe I should quit here. Maybe I should quit here. Maybe this is as far as I go. Maybe this is too hard. Maybe at some point you have to erase that as it is no longer an option. So since it's not an option, what else are my other options? Since I'm not quitting, what else can I do? It takes that level of refusal. It takes trusting the process. Takes trusting your mentor and trusting the process. I'm going to read you guys a text. My boy Craig McManaman sent me this text. Craig texted me. He said, "Hey, I have a story for you. Remember when you were on my team call and you asked if people were thinking of quitting and one guy in the comments said, 'Yeah, right now.' That same agent," this is maybe 2 months later, "that same agent has written almost 20K this week. He has said multiple times that the call with you turned his mindset around. This is the conversation I had with him tonight. So Craig is texting this agent, hey, how are you doing? Tell me how you feel. His name is Brett. Brett writes back, oh man, I don't know if I fully understand what's happening yet, but I'm pretty sure coming here to Symmetry was the best decision I've ever made. I probably won't ever stop thanking you and Sierra for bringing me here. Craig writes back, dude, I'm so proud of you. All this business you wrote is approved. You're getting paid. Like, what types of leads are these? Brett writes back, I'm waiting for Americo to verify my non-resident license. And then, yeah, I should be getting a nice chunk of change this week. I'm working my MIB SLO leads, standing lead order leads, and picking up MIAs, mail-in A's and mail-in C's as they become available throughout the week. I should be on pace for an MIA lead order by mid to late October. Thanks, man. Then he says this, everything you keep saying is coming true. Trust the process. You're going to want to quit. You're going to have a mentor tell you, don't quit, get leads, call leads. You're going to have to make the choice whether you're going to trust them or not. That choice is always on you. I chose to trust Jamie. I chose to trust Jacob. When I was broke and I was losing money and I needed a job, I chose to trust them. When Brett was broke and Craig said, don't quit, and he got me on a call, Brett chose to trust him. I don't know how to be more real or more raw or more vulnerable with you guys. I brought you in every single step of the last almost 3 years from the time I said yes to this business to now. I went from being scared and making $2,700 in my first month to making almost 50 grand a month right now. And not one step of that has been easy. Not one step of that was handed to me. Not one step of that came without crying, without wanting to quit, without screaming and fighting, and like a freaking snake having to shed my skin 17 times to become a bigger, stronger version of myself. Anything you want to build is sitting right here for you. You got to be willing to shed your skin. You got to be willing to be vulnerable. You got to be willing to learn. You got to be willing to fight. You got to be, even if you have a plan B or even if you have a safety net, you got to be willing to act like you don't. Like I told the new agent call the hour before, this takes 3 things. It takes a reason to get uncomfortable, takes a willingness to get uncomfortable, and it takes the grit to stay in the discomfort until it becomes comfortable. That's what this takes. That's what it takes. And I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you. Without you, I don't do what I'm doing. Winning in this business requires a good number of people catching a vision for what you're doing. I learned the craft of how to cast this vision. And then I feel the responsibility to help make that vision happen. I feel the responsibility to speak life into every one of you so that you can go challenge the old version of you that you want to shed to become the new version of you that's capable of things you haven't done yet. I cast a vision to show you what's possible. Now I'm going to tell you how to get there. This is the journey we're on. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. My favorite agents are the ones that blow up my phone the most. You know this. You should all have my cell phone number. I have a vested interest in every single one of you guys winning and winning big. If we have not talked this week, it's because you haven't tried. Okay. Have a good night. Bye, y'all.